Welcome to Storytime with Karen and Kevin. I'm your host, Karen Monroe. Today, we're going to be reading from the subreddit r/TalesfromYourServer. Before we get started, we have a couple of updates. Kevin and I have gone on a world adventure. You can follow along on our Instagram. Link will be in the description. And we're almost at 300 subscribers on YouTube. When we hit that goal, we will be giving away a $20 Amazon gift card. To enter, just subscribe and leave a comment on one of our videos. And now, on to the stories. Our first story was posted by Vote Dog. The nice guy who lied to his date about who he was. Long ago, I was waiting tables, and I had a two-top. They looked to be on a date. Both were dressed up. She ordered a salad and him a burger. She cocked her head to the side when he said that, and she said, "I thought you were vegan." He laughed it off, said he was, but sometimes he splurged. She didn't look happy about that, but said nothing. All I could think of was awkward. He ordered a Guinness halfway through his meal, and she raised an eyebrow at that too. "Wait a second, you said you didn't drink either." He laughed it off again, saying he meant hard alcohol. Certainly beer wasn't an issue. I snuck away, but I listened to them argue from behind the server station. Her, "I specifically wrote on my profile that I was vegan and I didn't drink." Him, waving his hand at her, "One beer isn't an issue. Plus, I haven't had meat in ages, at least a few weeks. Just because you don't, doesn't mean your man can't." Her, "I was looking for like-minded men, someone who also don't eat meat or drink." He cut her off. "Yeah, I saw that on your profile, but I figured once you met me, you'd be open to it. Once you get to know me, I'm a great guy. You should give me a chance despite our small differences." Her, "So far, 2 important facts you told me about yourself were lies." I got busy and had to go do something. Dang it. When I looked back, the woman was gone. She had pretended to go to the bathroom, found another server, gave him money, and told him to give it to me. Then she fled the restaurant. Her date waited a bit and then started looking towards the bathroom to see where she was. I brought the check and had updated it to show the payment she had made. Him, after looking at the bill, "She paid for her food? Where'd she go?" Me, "I think she may have left, sir." Him, angry, "What?" I shrugged. He got up, went to the woman's bathroom door, knocked on it, and started calling her name. When nobody came out, he pushed the door open. I was about to tell him to get out of the women's restroom, but he saw it was empty and returned to the table. Digging for his wallet, he loudly complained about his date ditching him. He started telling the tables around him that his date had been a total witch, and took off. I was shocked, and everyone looked uncomfortable. When I picked up his credit card to run, he spit at me. Her loss. I make great money and have a big house. I have a boat. Her loss. I dropped his receipt while internally rolling my eyes at him. He had lied to her about who he was, and it was her loss? Yeah, okay. Up until then, I had never encountered a r/nice guy before. What a tool. Edit to add. He did not tip me, but she left me $10. Well, it really sounds like she dodged the bullet on that one. And sometimes you just see that coming from a mile away. And he threw up a couple of red flags pretty early on, so good for her. Also, I mean, as a former server, you will hear me commenting a lot about my past experience because you do learn a lot. Like, you can tell when someone's on an awkward date. You can tell when, you know, the woman definitely doesn't want to be there, or vice versa. Maybe the man, like, isn't having a good time. But yeah, you don't often see people leave, though. So that would have been, like, probably the talk of the night. I wish I could have seen it myself, to be honest. Our next story was posted by Chemipedia. It's non-alcoholic. I was at a work lunch and ordered a mocktail that seemed like it would be pretty tasty. When it came to the table, a couple of my colleagues reacted like, "Ooh, are we doing drinks too?" A couple of the firm's partners were looking over like they might say something. The server loudly says, "It's non-alcoholic," loud enough that the whole table of 20 plus heard it. The conversation shifted to how delicious it looked. I probably should have thought better than to give off even the appearance of drinking during a work lunch, but I blundered. Thanks, random server person, for helping to keep it a small mistake rather than having a rumor start at work about me drinking. Not gonna lie, one of the first restaurants I worked at, there was like this group of guys that were regulars. They came in basically pretty much every single weekday because they worked like right down the street and they would get hammered. So it's not like it's super uncommon for people to like drink on their lunch. And I mean, all these guys worked together. They were like kind of high up, and I don't know. It's still really funny though. Yeah, cool on the server. I might do the same thing because, you know, getting called out like that is like, no matter how much explaining you do, be like, it's not a drink, I promise. It's pretty funny. Our next story was posted by Bar Alone 4092. Dumped a plate of food on a customer. His reaction was unexpected. When I was 16, I started waitressing at a pretty nice steak and seafood place. Parents had kicked me out, so I really needed the money because I was paying my rent through private school and renting a room. My first day was on a Friday night, so it was super busy. A couple was placed in my section. I took their order, got their drinks, then I returned with the food. I placed hers down, and someone bumped into me, and I dumped his entire meal on his lap. He had got a fish platter that includes white beans and slaw, so it was bad. I immediately started apologizing, trying to clean what I could, reorder his food, and apologize even more. At some point, I cried. The wife teased him about it. He kept reassuring me it was okay. Turns out they were regulars every Friday night. Even after I dumped his food, they left me a $20 tip. This was in 1998. It was a lot back then. After that, every time they came in, they would ask to be sat in my section. They introduced me to their adult children, grandkids, and friends, and had them ask for me. On my 17th birthday, they brought me a gift. It was a beautiful gold bracelet. I still have it today, and I'm 49 years old. They kind of restored my faith in humanity, and I still think about the lessons they taught me. I didn't even realize them until I was older. I will say in my years of waiting tables, most of the people you encounter are quite pleasant. Like, they say that most of the time you remember a bad memory, so that's why those bad ones always stick in your mind. But I have so many good memories of like really great people. I mean, granted, no one ever brought me a gift, but plenty of them were just so nice, always tipped really well, you know, whatever it is, that you just like don't hate your job for a few minutes of the day because you know that you're gonna have some pleasant people, and that's the nice part of the job. Our next story was posted by Fair Shine. No minors means no minors. So I swapped jobs quite recently. I've been at a solid divey spot in my city. Great food and great staff. Everything's been pretty great. But one thing I cannot stand about working here is the amount of people who think their infant does not qualify as a minor. We're licensed as a bar, so we have a big sign on the door that says no minors. When we seat incomplete parties or take reservations over the phone, we make sure to ask, hey, is everybody in your group 18? And the amount of people I get strolling in with a double-decker stroller and a toddler on each hip is astounding. They're really well behaved. That's awesome. Still no minors. She'll be 18 in a week. Well, happy early birthday. Still no minors. Does my newborn count? He's sleeping. Aw, sleepy guy. Still no minors. No minors means no minors. None. Zero. If they cannot legally purchase a beer, they are not allowed. End of the story. I want to scream. I'm in Canada, by the way. Legal drinking age is 18. Okay, so I'm in California, so the drinking age is 21. The closest thing that has happened to me that's kind of similar to this would be like the kids who are with their parents and the parents try to like vouch for them, like, oh, like he's with me, da, da, da. And I'm like, it doesn't work like that here. I need your ID. Like the adult will have their ID, but like the clearly like child of the parent doesn't have it. And I'm like, I mean, they're younger. Like, I'm sorry, I cannot take your word for this. So have your ID on you. That's what I have to say to you audience members. Please have your ID. I don't like to enforce it, but I also don't want to lose my job. Our last story was posted by Acceptable Tourist 4. Damn it, Laura. Laura hasn't worked in a restaurant in 6 years, but she's the best new server we've ever hired. Just ask her. Laura started her night by attempting to take my first table. Laura has trouble counting from 1 to 17. Laura walked through completely empty sections to flat seat herself. We didn't have a host, just shoot me. And then weeded herself, then effed it all up. Laura single-handedly weeded our entire kitchen tonight with her mistakes. Laura thinks running side work means texting in the bathroom. Laura thinks we should let the rain wash the tables at the end of the night. F the red wine stains and the buffet. Laura will sigh loudly at each table she's forced to wipe. Laura complained about every closing task, then bounced early. Laura didn't even look over her shoulder at the coworkers stacking chairs on the patio she made the lion's share of the money on. Laura's fat wallet must have been weighing her down and making her too tired to work. Laura lied to a manager about having done all of her side work. Laura caused the rest of the service to shout out, "Oh no, she didn't." Laura wasn't around when we opened a few bottles of wine and told the manager what we really thought of Laura. Laura no longer has a job. 86 Laura. We all know a Laura, and there's one in every restaurant, and even if one leaves, there's one comes like through the door. Like, there's no stopping them. It's insane. And you're so lucky that apparently your manager listened to you, because most of the time, like, I swear, in my experience, those are the people that are like the favorite freaking people of the whole staff, like the laziest ones. It's like, I don't know what the magic power is, but I want some. And I am so glad that I don't have to deal with any Lauras anymore, because honestly, just thinking about it brings back like traumatic memories. That's all for today. Thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it. If you like what we do and you want to support us, you can become a donor on Anchor FM. You can also follow us on our social media accounts. All of them will be linked in the description. Thanks, and see you next time. Bye.